specialist.
I want to go a little bit more in depth on the Rockies, and specifically having to do with Keith Duggar. Over the last couple of years, and going back even further, all we hear, soft tissue injuries, a groin, a hip flexor, a labrum. I know that Duggar is a great guy. I know that he is well respected throughout the league.
Right.
But when do the Rockies have to look at Keith Duggar and say, I know they just changed their strength and conditioning coach, but when are they going to look at the trainer and say, this has been a consistent problem? I live by this phrase. If you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always gotten. And they are a franchise that is consistent with soft tissue injuries. Is the problem, and I hate to say this about Keith Duggar, I'm sure he's a great guy, do they need to have another voice in there?
Yeah, I don't know how you link it to the trainer. I've had issues with doctors.
He treats.
And every guy who's ever gone to Duggar walks away feeling better about their situation.
I know.
And
I hear the same thing.
And they say he takes the most conservative route to the point it drives them bananas. Until they're symptom free, he avoids risk. I want to make sure you're healthy. And he's always been the one to fight for players when management's saying, get this guy in the field. And he's been the barrier saying, no, he's not ready. Players respect that about him, that he's willing to be the shield for them. And so the one thing I would like to see is how he would do out of altitude. The problem you deal with obliques and hammies growing is dehydration at altitude. And I know people think that's crazy. No one plays in these conditions other than the Rockies. No one leaves. Every road game the Rockies play is out of their time zone. No other team does that. They're constantly out of their time zone and playing in what people don't realize how dry Colorado weather is. Hydration is a #1 problem they deal with in terms of, I talked to Kadir about this. He blows out his oblique how many times? 3? Hamstring, 3? And none of them really live here in the off season. Is that Duggar's fault? I mean, that's
okay.
And then here's the other issue. When it's injuries in spring training to pitchers, I almost always, there's bad luck sometimes. I always go back to what the guy did in the winter, and that's not under Duggar's supervision.
Okay.
So I don't know. What I'm saying is I don't really know. I would have to see a test, see Duggar outside of altitude and in altitude.
Then you know what? I'm going to take you at your word. And if I'm going to take you at your word, the Rockies can't win. They can't win.
They can win in windows, like they did in 07 and they did in 09.
Twice out of every 7 years?
Exactly.